Okay, so we're gonna stick with some DC stuff. We're gonna stick with Batman stuff. And so Darren Aronofsky talked a little bit about some stuff. There's Batman talk from Colin Farrell. So let's get into that. And I found my glasses and my eyes aren't hurting as much anymore. That's good. What do you guys care? Probably not at all. Batman talk from Colin Farrell, Aronofsky, and more. There's been a lot of talk about Batman in the past day or so. Some about his past and some of the character's future on the screen. First up, James Gunn has doubled down on talk about the final few episodes of Peacemaker, saying that this week we have some really, really big stars from the DC universe that are going to be near the end of the season, while speaking with outlet Palusha and El Sushi. There's no world where I said that right. That has led to plenty of wild speculation that the DCU's Batman could be introduced, even as there has been no indication thus far of anything like that happening. In terms of actually tangible Batman news, Colin Farrell spoke with The Wrap the other day and confirmed he's getting into the script for Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2 this week. Regarding his filming commitments, reprising his role of the Penguin in the film, he says, "I'll be there for however long. I don't have many scenes, I don't believe, but I'll be there for whatever." The character came up again as well in an interview with filmmaker Darren Aronofsky over on the Happy Sad Confused podcast. Josh Horowitz spoke with the Caught Stealing director to reflect on the time over 2 decades ago when Aronofsky was attached to direct an adaptation of Frank Miller's Batman Year One. The film didn't happen. Warner Brothers instead shifting to what became Nolan's Batman Begins. Aronofsky told Horowitz it came down to the fact that he was way too focused on getting the Fountain made. He said, "I was really focused on the Fountain. I never really took that seriously. I wanted to make Fountain. That's where it was. Frank Miller and I co-wrote a script. My whole strategy on that was I wanted to make this totally wild, crazy film about love and the search of the Fountain of Youth. And it felt like it was on Batman. They might let me make the Fountain, which is kind of what happened, sort of. I think the Batman that me and Frank Pitch wrote was really down and dirty, duct tape kind of movie. It was really never going to be selling Batmobiles. I don't think I was the right guy at the right time. It was rated R. I think the whole world of superhero films had to come out first to scrape the bottom of the barrel before going to R-rated films like some of the later ones." During the interview, he confirmed he wanted Joaquin Phoenix for the role of Batman, whereas the studio wanted Freddie Prinze Jr., really, for that version. He also confirmed he was never attached to Man of Steel and was involved in Watchmen, but literally for only a few days. That's so interesting. Boy, Freddie was in the running for, they wanted him to play Batman? Did you know that? I never knew that.
I feel like I remember hearing a rumor about that, but I don't hate the choice as far as maybe Bruce. I honestly would have seen Freddie more as like a slightly older Dick, like a Nightwing personally, but I think he could have maybe done it.
I'll tell you why he could have done it. And if I didn't know him, I would have agreed with you 100%. I'm telling you, like before from his persona, I agree with you 100%. When you really talk to who Freddie Prinze Jr. is as a person and his philosophies on life and the way he approaches things and where he can tap into, he's controlled certain like emotions and things too, through whether it was jujitsu or other things too. And like he's that guy. He's a really kind of he's a very zen dude now too, but he's a guy that basically controls stuff, and the stuff that had happened with his father that he's very public about and how that kind of shaped his entire life and things that he had to do. Freddie would have been a very inspired choice and different. And a lot of people would initially, the same thing that we said with Pattinson for you or other people, right? Oh, the Twilight guy. People would be like, I saw somebody in the comments go, Freddie Prinze? Yikes. Because the first thing you think of is Scooby-Doo or something else too. But that's not what we're talking about. Some other thing. I know that you've heard of Viagra. I know you've heard of Cialis. You probably even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, Rougiette Ready. If the usual pills are not doing the trick, Rougiette Ready, it could be the answer. It's a 3-in-1 formula, and it dissolves under your tongue. It absorbs fast. You'll be ready in just 15 minutes on average, not hours, and it effects can last up to 36 hours. If you want proof, over 150,000 men have made the switch, and you can read their customer reviews right on the site. Getting started is simple. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor, 100% online, and if you're prescribed, treatment ships quickly to your door. Now connect with the provider at rougiette.com/Christian. See if a Rougiette Ready prescription is right for you. You can use that code Christian to get 15% off today. That is Rougiette, RUGIET.com/Christian. Use that promo code Christian, get 15%. Head to Rougiette.com/Christian. Use that code Christian, get 15% off today. Use the code, support the show, and let Rougiette know that we sent you. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiet website for full safety information.
Well, because wasn't he? Because I don't do horror like that, but wasn't he in the Know What You Did Last Summer movies?
Yeah,
with
all of them. Yeah, he was just the most recent one too.
I just to that point, I just think that's enough of the edge there that is for me to kind of go to the darker places. I know that's a different genre entirely, but you mentioned Scooby-Doo. If that's all you know him from, sure. But right. I know just enough about, because I've seen the first one. I know just enough about that. And he was in 24, actually. I love that show 24, yeah. And he had a season of 24. I know it sounds like he didn't have the best experience, but he was good in it. And I could see
he's very vocal about his experience.
Yeah. But I could see him taking on a kind of detective, got to handle my stuff. Sure. Like, I think it'd be good.
But it's also a great example of the type of Batman Warner Brothers wanted at the time, which is how Darren Aronofsky was using it. Like Darren Aronofsky wanted Joaquin Phoenix and the studio wanted Freddie Prinze Jr. So it's interesting because we would have gotten probably much more of a Matt Reeves, Batman.
Right. At that time, though, but he's right, though, Coy. At that time.
It was not the time for it.
No.
And that's what's interesting about, I always talk about the evolution of the X-Men costumes. When we got the first X-Men, black leather was strongly because of the Matrix and Blade did so well. And it took us so long to get to even a taste of comic accurate. And then they'd usually do that in like the last scene, and then they'd cut away, and then weirdly they wouldn't have it in the next movie. But it took us a while to get here culturally to have these costumes be so like the comic books. I think the same of the movies. Like, I think Robert Pattinson's a great Batman. I think Joaquin Phoenix would have been an amazing Batman. But I don't think culturally it would have done well, even at the budget they were looking out for Darren Aronofsky. Even with, like, you read, Frank Miller co-writing, that doesn't mean a lot to you. To me, that's a revelation. When I heard Frank Miller had written it with Darren Aronofsky, I'm like, what we could have, but it wouldn't have, unless the movie cost $40 million, it wouldn't have made its money back.
No, it would have been interesting. Well, but at that time, shoot, man, even Batman Begins was really expensive. I always thought it was not that expensive.
Was it?
Yeah, it was more expensive.
Especially.
Yeah, it was more expensive than you think it was. I always thought of it was maybe like a $60-70 million movie. I think it was like
150.
And that was in those dollars.
That was in 2005.
Yeah, bro, that's crazy. 2005.
But they wanted a big franchise and they got it. Whereas Darren Aronofsky calls it duct tape. He wants something a lot more like what I think Frank Miller sees Batman as. But I don't think culture was ready for that yet.
No. So Aronofsky doing that would have been very, especially at that time, what he was doing. After we wrap this segment up, I'll talk to you quite quickly about both Caught Stealing and I don't know if you saw The Long Walk, but I'll talk to you about.
I heard The Long Walk is fantastic.
I'll talk about both.
I'm seeing it tomorrow, and I saw Caught Stealing.
Yeah, I saw both of them. I'll talk about it in just a second. But before we do that, Aronofsky and then the casting of moving forward with Brave and the Bold and where they're going to go with that. The other thing is as they mentioned, Peacemaker, and whether I don't think Batman's going to show up at the end of it. I think that would have been leaked. I think someone would have known about that already. But then again, they showed a lot of those episodes. They did not show the last couple, so you never know.
And Gotham is mentioned in the second episode.
It is. I don't know if that. Look, I have two arguments. The first is I don't know if that's a great place where you want to debut Batman because of the tone of the show. The other side of it is why it's really smart is for the selfish reason of if you want a lot of eyes in that show and you already got a lot of eyes on it so far and people are already watching it, not a bad idea to put probably the most popular hero of all DC at the end of it. I don't think that happens, Winston, but let's say
to put Batman at the end of it, you're saying?
Yeah, to put Batman in it. Yeah, to put Batman in it.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think that you've already gotten your little tease, unless you're going to do essentially the same thing you did in Creature Commandos and just tease the silhouette of Batman. I don't think you should keep doing that. If you want to, because you've mentioned Gotham already in that second episode, if you want to tease the world of Batman again, so if a Gordon or anything along those lines, if you want to bring in one of the Gotham villains or something, because you are still talking about Argus and the end of Task Force X and whatnot, I think all of that is appropriate. I don't think bringing Batman in at the end of Peacemaker is a good idea. I remember there was a tip of the hat potentially from James Gunn last week like in an interview, someone brought up Blue Beetle, and he said, "You never know. Like, you know, it might not be as long as you think. So maybe that. But I don't think it'd be smart to bring Batman in right now, personally."
Yeah, Coy, same question.
You know, I think White Rabbit being in the episode we saw was exciting and a nod, but I feel like that's kind of what you do with world building. We didn't have Batman and Superman because it was Superman's story. I think Peacemaker's story is going to be Peacemaker's story, but you can build out the universe. I personally don't think so, but that's only because of what it seems like they're doing with world building, not from any sort of problem with it. But I don't see that likely.
I have one thought, and this is the only way maybe, but I think let's not get into multiversal shenanigans already, knowing that Peacemaker is him kind of dealing with the life that could have been kind of alternate universe here. I mean, maybe the Batman of the universe that he's kind of dabbling in. But again, if the point is we're already worried about confusing people with Pattinson Batman versus DCU Bat, I don't know if it necessarily behooves us to even bring in a Batman we're only going to see for the show in this alternate reality type scenario. You know,
I think you start bringing in different Batman already.
We've already got the Matt Reeves and whoever.
Yeah, that's too
someone
much.
in the chat said Alan Richson is absolute Batman. I love it, but
1,000%. But I don't know they're doing that right
now. Anyway, so what do you guys make of all the Batman talk? Whether it was Aronofsky's version, should they have done that in some other multiverse? Speaking of multiverse, is that how it played out? Should it have played out? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know what you think, especially with Brave and the Bold. Should Batman, this Batman, should show up in Peacemaker? What say you? Put your thoughts in there.